G'day, welcome to Realms of Power. My name's Dr. Tony Rudd and I'm the host of this show. The purpose of Realms of Power is to turn your true aligned power on, or turn your tap on, as we like to say. We broke this down into 12 different realms in our very first episode, and we've had a whole lot of guests come on the show to help with their specific area that might help you turn your power on. Now, this is designed for people that might be stuck somewhere, down on their power, low on energy, or just want to live their most unbelievable, magnificent life. So my background is a chiropractor for 25 years, helping people turn their power on through alignment and optimizing of their nervous system. I've seen such phenomenal change. I've also been a life coach in the personal development field for almost 20 years, helping people physically, chemically, emotionally, spiritually, all the different realms. And it's been an honor to be able to help so many people. That's why we've done this podcast. Now, if you'd like to find out more, I have a personal website on www.tonyrudd.com.au, and we have a Facebook page for Realms of Power to access all the episodes. They're available on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, all of the different platforms as well. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. Have an awesome day. See ya. G'day, Dr. Tony here with another episode of Realms of Power. And today I'm joined by a wonderful mate, Craig Christie. Craig, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Oh, mate, it's great to have you here today. So, I'd like to just start by introducing our listeners to you. And I've known you for quite a few years now, actually, mate, just doing some workshops together. And I've seen how many people you've been able to directly help. And you also just love the fun of doing stuff. And I know you've got a great relationship with your kids as well. So, mate, welcome to the show. Can you tell the listeners a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, sure. So a bit about myself. Solo parent, 3 kids. My greatest achievement's being an amazing father. I really enjoy being a father. Being a business owner, investor, a developer, and heavily involved with personal development for a long time. And that's how we met.
Yeah, that's great. So let's start with the personal development. And what got you into wanting to explore more about human dynamics and the personal growth sort of field?
Yeah, my journey started in 2004. So back then I was involved with property, and this property company also were kind of linked up with a personal development company. And I went and did my first ever personal development weekend, which was a 3-day weekend. And it just blew my mind. I didn't know there was such thing as coaches. The whole industry, I didn't know anything about it. But the more I kind of explored it, I thought, this is what I want to do myself. And I just think it's such a rewarding thing to do, to be able to impact people's lives in a really positive way. So it's been part of my life for nearly over 20 years now.
So you've done workshops for yourself.
Yeah.
When did you flip it and go, I actually feel like I so enjoy this. I want to give back to help others in whatever realm that might be?
Yeah, it was an amazing experience. So I went to Anthony Robbins, and there's a lot of people who love and hate Anthony Robbins, but I'm a fan. I think he does amazing stuff. And it was an experience which to this day I still remember. And there was a process, and everyone was really involved with the process. And I'm kind of getting pissed off because I'm like, everyone's really getting a lot of value. I'm just getting no value from it. And it was the first time I kind of spoke to spirit or God or whatever you want to call the universe. And I was getting pissed. I said, this is bullshit. I'm getting nothing. What's going on? And then I had this experience, which was, there was a voice that said, you ungrateful little shit. I'm like, what's his voice coming from? It's like this knowingness that I thought that I achieved all that level of success, because even as a young person, I was very successful. But I had this most humbling experience, realizing it wasn't just me. There are greater forces out there in play that were contributing to my success. So that's where I got involved with personal development, and the messages were to marry my partner and to get into doing personal development retreats. So within 6 months, I proposed and I bought a franchise for a personal development company. So within basically 8 months of being involved with personal development, I was at the front of the room teaching it. So whether that's the right thing or not, I don't know. I definitely had some challenges teaching it, but it was a really fast trajectory, a really steep trajectory into the space of personal development.
I love that. A lot of people don't have that level of confidence, and you've already had some business success, and then you went, I can do this. And it's not about being able to help everyone, but it's about finding your tribe. and helping those right people. What sort of people did you find you resonated with, that were able to work with and able to help the most, do you reckon?
I've always found people like myself. Like if I was to look at my journey, it's been definitely a journey of like I've got a very fast mind and a very, I would say, a mind that wants to rule the ship all the time, and I don't always connect that with my heart, which is more about purpose. So I really work well with people who are typically high achievers, people who, I'll give you an example. I pretty much worked out what my ideal life was going to look like. So I did that. I had the three kids, the Labrador, the big house, the career that was, I nearly now got to a place where I didn't need to work anymore, but I was still so unhappy. I was still so unfulfilled because I thought my way into a great life, but I hadn't felt my way into a great life. So I really like working with people who, realistically, they've thought their way to a great life and realized this isn't what this isn't fulfilling. There's something missing here. So yeah, it's still a journey I'm traveling now. It's where the joy comes from. It's like it's kind of like the real journey begins once you realize that the happiness you want to experience wasn't as black and white as I first thought.
And did that resonate when you felt that message from the Tony Robbins one about the gratitude, the gratitude, you little shit, that comment? How did that sit with you, that state of gratitude? Because a lot of people, this, Craig, give lip service to gratitude. I'm grateful, and they think what gratitude should be like, but you felt that you had that disconnect between the two. Can you say more about that?
Well, yeah, I guess the embarrassing part is that was 20 years ago, and I'm sitting here and I'm still coming to terms with the wisdom and the learnings from that. So whilst gratitude is, it's a feeling, and I can give a lip service, and sometimes I try to feel grateful, but other times I just look at what I've experienced and just really connect in with myself and realize there's a lot to be grateful for. Like we live in Australia. I mean, you and I live in Queensland. We're just so blessed to have what we have. And I also feel like tying it back into personal development, if you're not grateful for what you have, you get more of what you don't want. So, starting point, be grateful for what you have, and then you can move towards what you want with the stability of, of the feeling that even if I don't get what I want, I'm still completely happy now. And I don't need the new house, or I don't need the relationship, or need the car, or whatever it may be. Don't come with the neediness energy. It's coming with, I'm so grateful right now, but I'd be even better. Like life would be even more amazing for me to achieve these different things.
Yeah, I love that. Can you say more about that word neediness? Because I know that there's men that you and I have coached, and I know sometimes that energy comes up in different people. And I would just say that sometimes I would say you would have experienced that at times. Can you say more about that for the listener? Because I think that needy energy is a really important topic in standing into your power.
Yeah, an experience which you probably had with me is because I used to facilitate retreats many years ago, and even when I first started crewing for real, like I had the ability to facilitate these events. And when I first came into crew with real, there's a part of me that needed to be seen as being experienced, needed to be acknowledged, needed to be validated. And what I found was no one, like everyone found, everyone is putting people off, which was making me want to do it even more. So there was this need to be seen, and then when I wasn't getting seen or acknowledged, I upped the ante, which made people even more like, "Oh, get it away from me." So it wasn't until the point where I'm like, I don't actually need any of that. I know, I don't need any other validation from anyone but myself. And what's really cool through those experiences is, I've facilitated part of the events. As you know, we can do little parts ourselves. I sit down, and the first thing I say to myself is, I nailed that. And if no one else acknowledges it, I don't care, because I can sit here and say, I just nailed that. And then all of a sudden, you start receiving gratitude from others. Wow, you did really well there. So I guess neediness is it's an energy of pushing away from rather than attracting.
Yeah, that's a brilliant, brilliant point. And for the listeners out there, I'm sure if you're really honest with yourself, a lot of people would have had those moments. And sometimes it's linked to shame. Sometimes it's linked to those more icky feelings that, especially as men, we get. And you're like, I don't want that energy. I'd rather just be in that nice power state of calmness, of presence, of owning my own stuff. And I know that's some of the great lessons that we've had in doing the work we've done. But you've been running your own workshops, and you've come back to those, and you're looking in your future about running more workshops, I believe.
Yeah.
What's that area? Because you said you've got a specific area that you do like helping people with. What's that area?
Yeah. So in really simple terms, I think, like, for me, personal development is really quite simple. And it is, first of all, what's getting in the way at the moment of you enjoying the sort of success you want to achieve. So getting some basic tools that you can use straight away. And then once life's going okay and relatively stable, I think that's when you do the really deep work. And the deep work is, what do I really want? Like, what am I really here to do? And it can be any area, but what does my soul really want? What lights me up the most? What makes me feel the most alive? And then once you know what that is, that's where the real, I guess you could say, the suffering begins almost, because everything that's not that version of you will show up. And that is, I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm not, all the not enoughs will basically show up. And it's like, I like to call it slaying the dragon. You might call it the ego. All of a sudden, you know what you really, really want, and that's great. But then everything that's stopping you getting there will actually get in the way. And unless it starts getting in the way, you can actually start having a relationship with the parts of you that don't work. That might be, I said, not enough. It might be, there's so many different things that get in the way. And I feel like the most rewarding work you can do is actually helping people break through those patterns that they don't even know it's their blind spot. They don't even know it's getting in the way. And I really believe the true measure of success and growth is if you put in the same situation twice and you respond differently. So it might be, for example, if you're looking to create wealth and you have an investment opportunity, the first time you had that opportunity, you ran off scared, you had scarcity mentality, you're looking for what was wrong with it. But the second time you put in exactly the same situation, you come from an empowered place and you're starting to look what's right with it. You're getting support by mentors. So again, put in the same situation, making different choices, therefore you've grown. I think it's a continual process. But one thing is, there's so many people out there talking about growth and they're even beating their own chest how much I've grown, but put them under a lot of pressure. Who do they become under a lot of pressure? Have they really grown? So that to me is the real true growth.
I love that. Well, our 4 themes, you've covered really 2 of them already in Realms of Power, has been, number 1, just being more authentic, more true to yourself, like who you are as a sovereign being, and being authentic to that. The second one is doing more of what you love doing, which is really what you've just nailed. You've said, doing the thing, but actually getting out of your own way or getting out of your own ego of those repeating patterns when you're not doing the stuff you love doing, and not beating yourself up if you have got it right, and then realize without gratitude, I have had that moment of doing something I love doing, whether that's with your kids, your business, your training, whatever it might be. And the third one I think that really creates then is that ultimate freedom. What actual ultimate freedom really is for you individually. Because my definition of ultimate freedom, Craig, is definitely going to be different than yours.
Yeah.
Which will be different from your kids at their stage in life, or partner, or whatever it might be. That's different. And the fourth one, which I love, is never needing to work again. Because if you're doing the stuff you love doing and you're getting paid for it, happy days. Or if you've been able to take that up the next level and literally create full financial freedom in this world, where you've said you've already been at that state where you don't even feel you have to work. You've been a successful businessman. You've sold your business. You're like, what do I want to do now? Like, what freedom can I do or create? And I love that you've been on that journey. I think that's brilliant.
I'll talk into that for a moment. So what was really interesting was that I did have a business that had employees working for me, and I worked remotely. The business was located in Brisbane. And what was really funny was I didn't really need to work, but that part of me that felt like I had to would still sit at a desk just in case the phone rang or an email came through, getting bored shitless, going nuts. And even though I'd achieved the success, I wouldn't let myself experience it. Scarcity mentality, imposter syndrome. And it's like, you can have the success. Well, I had the success I really wanted, like on paper, but I wasn't living it. And there's a big difference between feeling free, which was the third one. Like, I'm free, I don't need to be here. I've learned the right not to have to come to work today, whatever. Yeah, which remind me of like doing the right things for the wrong reasons. There's a situation where even though I look back and say, what, a lot of the times I was doing the right things, but I was doing it for trying to prove myself or trying to remove the fears I had of not having enough money. And the money was there. I just was still acting in a way that it wasn't there, or whatever it may be. So it's like getting the freedom. I really like your 3 points, and I really feel to get back into that for a moment. And the freedom to me, like true freedom to me, is the ability to sit within myself, to know myself, and to listen to my soul, listen to my heart, and say, where do I want to go? And that can be like I did a half marathon on the weekend, which I'm really proud of. And my heart said, we're doing a marathon next year. So I have the freedom to go and do a marathon next year because I have the health that I need to achieve that. It might be my heart says, oh, I really want to be a better dad. Great. So the freedom to actually pursue whatever I desire and the belief that I can achieve that, to me, is the sense of freedom that I want to experience. So experience that to a greater extent, and it's still a journey.
I love that. I was going to bring up, because I did see you'd run the half marathon, and I was pumped for you. That's such an achievement. Most people would never be able to achieve something like that. And you're like, oh, I'm just going to do it. And then you just did it. You know, that freedom is real. And a lot of people would look at you and go, oh my God, how amazing is that? But internally, you might still judge yourself. And that's what, I guess, the message of what you're bringing today. You're bringing real topics here, mate. And I love that. You're not faking, you're owning your stuff. And you've always done that, I think, which is really great for the listener to identify with those parts of us that some people just wouldn't have the courage to speak aloud to.
And I think the freedom to be authentic is like when I first started facilitating events 20 years ago, I was acting like the successful guy, living week to week because I had to look like I was somebody. To me, that's not freedom. You know, like now you can ask me any question, I'll answer anything because I feel free to do so. And there's nothing that you could possibly hurt me with. Yeah, I have that level of freedom, detachment, and I keep coming back to it, and I'm still learning. Absolutely, I've tripped over all the time.
That's great.
Yeah.
Tell me more about your kids, because I know you have a brilliant relationship. You're so proud of the dad that you have become. You're involved in their sports. And again, we're just talking about just normal living, normal kids, normal fun stuff. Tell me about how important that relationship is as a dad with your kids and teaching them some of these lessons.
Yeah, so I guess we've all had a childhood, and we all kind of look at our childhood and say, what did we not experience from our parents that we want to bring to our children? So I look at it as, okay, what would I want as a child from my dad? And little things like I made a decision when I was younger to take my kids away for a daddy weekend away, daddy-daughter. So when my daughter was 4, it was the first weekend away with dad, just the two of us. And to a greater extent, I've done that with all my kids every year, and they plan the trip, they work out where we're going. When we're there, they choose what time they want to do things. So I really want to, I guess my desire is for them to just encourage them to embrace their own journey and just be the kind of dad that they honestly, at some point in time, it'll be my funeral. And, for them to be able to speak about me in a way that they're like, yeah, my dad was good. I'm glad I had my dad, So it's such an important, we're dads, we choose to be dads. It's our choice. It's a responsibility. And I take that, I do take it very seriously. It's like anything, the more you invest into it. I did a father-son initiation weekend just recently, and it was amazing. And just the relationship even improved even more because I want to invest in my boys and my daughter. So, yeah.
Oh, that's great. Can you tell me, Craig, about grief and how that's impacted your life?
Yeah, so it seems to be a recurring theme in my life, and you know about my story so the listeners won't know, but my fourth child was stillborn at 24 weeks, and it was a traumatic is not the right word, and I happened to be at an event at one of the personal development retreats, and when I first found out that my wife was outside waiting for me to come in, so my first thought was leave me alone. I just want to do this retreat with these other good men. But then I saw her and I saw a midwife and I saw her face and something was drastically wrong. I couldn't find a heartbeat. So unfortunately, my daughter was stillborn. It was more to the story. I had a friend take his life 2 months earlier. So it was a really difficult time. But I think it was a blessing in a way because I saw the silver linings when my friend, he died. And whilst obviously there's still a process of grieving, my daughter was an absolute gift. She still is. I still communicate with her, named Sarah. And for the first 4 days, I was like the nutcase. I was talking out loud to my daughter because she was talking to me. And she was teaching me how to relate to my wife, telling me to slow down. She's like, Daddy, she can't understand your words. She can feel you. Just talk through feelings. And grief, I have this belief, I don't know where I got it from, that if I cry hard enough, I'll cry the grief away. Yeah, I soon learned it doesn't work that way, but I do know that sharing it with others and talking about your experiences, and I guess for me, it's like part of my events I do in honor of her. So her life still has meaning, and it always will. And she'll continue to contribute. One of her messages to me just after she passed, she said, "Daddy, I'm a healer." And I'm like, "Yeah, I know you are." As in, when it's knowing this, I know you're a healer. She goes, "But I need your help. We're going to work together." And I'm like, "Really?" She goes, "Yeah, we're going to be working together, and I'm going to support you in your journey." So when I facilitate, I don't, it's not about me. I'm kind of doing it on behalf of stuff that's not me. I'm doing it on behalf of her. I'm doing it on behalf of the universe, God. I believe the greatest work a facilitator can do is get themselves out of the way and just be a conduit without their own ego and just basically deliver the message in the way that it comes through them. And it's always going to be different. It'll be specific to those people, and they'll hear it the way that it's meant to be delivered. And I think there's these whatever happens in life. There's stuff. Let's call it stuff that happens. It doesn't make sense, but it's real and it's so impactful.
Jeez. And thanks for sharing. That's full on stuff. Can I ask just for some framework? How long ago was that experience time-wise?
Yes, that was 9 years ago.
So for 9 years, would you say you still have some sort of connection or contact on some level?
Yeah. She said to me, I'm in your heart, Daddy, I'll always be in your heart. And she said, sometimes you won't hear me. That's because you need to do the work. So I know when I'm really connected to myself, I feel her, I hear her, I actually know her voice. Like I can distinctly tell her, I can hear her voice. I know what it sounds like. Allowing myself to just be really present with myself. But also there's a part of me that's am I making this up? And it's when those first 4 days, I couldn't be any more embodied, and I was hearing it like finely tuned. There's other times I'm like, am I making this up? I'm not sure. But I always check in with myself. And it comes through me, and I just know, and I know sometimes it's really coming through clearly. And other times I'm like, yeah, I'm not so connected, and I can just let that go. She's not here right now, or that's not available to me right now.
And each of the listeners that might be listening to this might have had their own different experiences, and a lot of people do end up judging, and you're so clear though in that intuition and connections for you that I really honor that. And I really appreciate you sharing that story, Craig, because there's a lot of people that find topics like that a little taboo. But again, you've done enough personal growth work that you're actually now able to openly share that. And that can really help people. That grief, that loss, but the expression of that, like you said, is not just about crying enough. It's about sometimes expressing those suppressed emotions. And a lot of people, this as well, lead to depression. If they're not speaking, if they're not sharing, they're bottling it up, they can really just do themselves a disservice, I reckon.
One really big thing that was really good for me is I was joining this group called Sydney to Canberra Bike Rides.
Mm-hmm.
And every year we ride and raise money for SIDS and stillbirth research. And it gave me a reason to get out of bed, gave me a reason to ride. It was so life-giving. But just being amongst other men, friendly men, talking about our stories, and just our safe space. And it's like, I remember there was the first night we had this gala ball, and it was so beautiful. It was such a beautiful night. And there was one moment I just stood to the side and I started crying because I realized the common reason we're all here was a really sad reason. The commonality is the loss of children. So it was really sad that was the reason we were there, but it was such a beautiful reason. And as a result, to be able to hold another man and hug them and say, hey, it sucks, I know. And at that point, I was only a year after my daughter died, and just to be in that space, it was a blessing. It really was.
Mm.
And you recognize, you're not the only one. If you want to experience life, it's the human experience. Death will be part of life, and I am so grateful that Sarah is part of our life.
Yeah, man, I really feel that. That's a real deep share, mate. Thank you. Other things I've seen you do, which is, I guess, goes into the up and downness of the human experience. Sometimes there's those down moments where you're in the mud, in whatever form that might be. For some people, it's loss like that. Some people, it's financial stress. Some people, it's relationship breakup. But then there's also those great moments, those peak moments of of connection, like you said, but also fun, laughter, wrestling, climbing up mountains. I know you climb up the Glasshouse Mountains here, and you love being engaged in life. Another thing that's just come to me, which I know about you, is you've also even done drumming and drum music and the rhythm. Can you speak into that, of how that has helped people just come into more that tribal resonance thing? How's that helped people in your experience?
I think for me is like I feel like life is a gift, and I want to try everything. I want to give everything a go. But what I realized was that when I started drumming, it was more about becoming more embodied. It's like, how can I be more in my body? And that's about rhythm. So I had a drum that was bought. My wife bought me, mate's wife bought me a drum. And I started learning to play, and I tried to find a group, but I couldn't find one. So I started my own group. And next thing I'm teaching drumming. Yeah, I'm barely better than a student, but I was better than the others, so therefore I'm the teacher. But I just loved to drum, and before you knew it, I actually had rhythm. And now it's like I can't not find my rhythm. It's so easy. Like I don't know, even if I tried, I couldn't be out of rhythm. And I love drumming because it is a primal thing. You feel it, you do it with other people, and everyone's like, it's all about having fun. Really. I guess if I can say one thing, it's just give everything a go and be okay with. I think you got to have a sense of humor with yourself. It's like, yeah, get it really wrong. And the very first time I went to the drummer circle, it was beyond my one. There was these experienced drummers, and this little voice was saying, "Craig, you sound pretty bad. Probably someone's going to tap you on the shoulder soon and ask you to stop." And all this talk going on, and then about 4 weeks later, this guy who leads the drum said, "We're going to go on stage, and we're going to stage to about 300 people. There's going to be about 10 of us. Will you join us?" And my first response was, "Oh, nah, I'm okay. Thank you, though." And I got off the phone and I thought, what the hell did I say no to that?
Mm.
And my theory was this, that he should know how bad I am already. He should know that no matter what, he asked me. So if I'm terrible, it's not my responsibility. It's his responsibility. He chose me. So I went on stage and I had such a great time. And my theory was, if I bring nothing but fun energy, then that's what I'm bringing. And there's some video footage of me, and I wasn't very good, but geez, I had a lot of fun.
Mm.
Yeah.
So many people don't give themselves permission to just go and do stuff, whether it's drumming. And I know I've seen you even try and get people involved in why you do bring that fun energy. And then you get the people that go, oh, party poopers, no. Life is here to live, isn't it, mate? Just tell us about that, because this podcast is about standing in your power. And a lot of the times that is people not giving themselves permission, not having the courage, not just going for it. You're like just grabbing life and grabbing experiences and going for it, even if you don't look that good or sound that good or whatever. And you just know that you can just have a laugh with that. Speak into that.
Well, I want to get back to the drumming for a minute. So with these drum circles, people would be dancing as well. So I started dancing, and same thing. I'm moving my body, and I'm like, all these kind of pre-rehearsed moves. You kind of know which ones to do because you think, that's what you're meant to do. But I'm going to say there's nothing uglier than somebody thinking about how they dance. Because everyone can see it, everyone can feel it.
Yeah.
There's nothing more attractive than a person who looks bloody terrible, but having a blast.
Yeah.
And if you enjoy your own company and you're having fun, it's so attractive. But the energy of just having fun and not caring how you look, it's obvious when you're in that mode, because everyone wants to be part of it. Before you know it, like a moth, like a light, or the moth want to be part of that. So I think it's a really good metaphor of getting out of your head, getting in your body, and you don't need to overdance. Dancing might be simple, just moving around. It's like, no, that's what I want to do. Just, it's like listening to yourself, listening to be authentic with yourself. And if you feel sad and you're dancing, do a sad dance. If you feel happy, do a happy dance. If you don't feel like dancing, be okay with that. Just be okay with turning up who you are, and I guess giving yourself permission to be that person. And we're fundamentally feeling beings. Everything we do is to achieve a feeling. So I've sometimes put myself in situations which I think I won't like, because I'm like, I wonder how it feels. Like I've done a 25-day fast and just drinking juice and water. I'm like, that would be really challenging. I'm going to do that. And there's I think it's Vipassana. I think it is the meditation. It's 8 days without talking. I'm like, and you got to sit there. I'm like, I think I'd hate that. That'd be really hard. I'm going to do it.
I love it.
Because then it's like, who do you become?
Yeah.
It's like, who do I become in those situations?
Yeah. But that's, again, putting yourself outside the box, mate.
I thought about putting myself as a homeless person just for a night.
Yeah.
And I was like, how would it feel to be a homeless person?
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Well, look, and I know you've run retreats before and you're looking at coming back to those.
Yeah.
Can you give me an example of someone you might have just helped directly, something you've shared with someone where they've heard a message from you? It could be something that's sitting next to a man talking to him, or a woman you've coached, or whatever. Just give me an example of getting that message across and how that's helped someone.
The first thing that comes to mind is that you never truly understand the impact of just being yourself. I was supporting a number of people. I was feeling like they were getting great results and it was all good. And then about a year later, a man came and said to me, you know what, I'm alive because of you. I was ready to take my life.
Wow.
And there was no specific event. It wasn't like there was a specific time where he didn't share it anyway. It was just being there, being available, and just a bit like grief. Sometimes when you grieve, you just want someone to be there. And people are like, what am I meant to say? It's like, you don't need to say anything. Just be there. So that's almost the example of faith that you're doing great work. I could give you other examples, but I think just keep showing up. And if you show up in your authenticity, you're having an impact beyond your own understanding anyway. And I guess that's what I love about coaching, is because if you're working with somebody and they're like this same guy, I see photos of him now with his family, and he's now a grandfather. And I look at that photo, and it's like, I just look at that photo, and I could imagine him not being there. So knowing that he lives an amazing life now. I was talking to him a couple of days ago, and he again reminded me of the impact I had on him, but like impacted his family and their family and their friends, and the knock-on effects. I haven't really answered your question, but
I know you've answered that question better than almost anything I reckon I've ever asked, because we never really know the impact. We never know the impact of this podcast, you and me having this chat today. There'll be people that might listen to this that we never meet, never know, and that for some reason.
Yeah.
So it's not about, again, having to get the neediness of the acknowledgement or something. It's just you're there, you show up. I love that. I love that message. I think it's absolutely profound, Craig, and I think that's probably a great place for us to sort of wind this podcast up today, because that gave me the chills. Yeah, it really did, mate. And for the listeners out there that are listening to this or doing their own work and helping someone, it might even be you're not a coach, you're just there for your kids, you're there for things. You never really know the impact of just showing up, being authentic, being real, and coming from a good space.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. All right, mate. Now, are you running any seminars later this year? Or if any of our listeners wanted to get in contact with you, how would they find out the workshops and stuff you've got coming up?
Yeah, the easiest way is, even though it doesn't yet exist, it's still, like, I've been doing events on and off for 20 years, but the new events we call it Thought Mastery.
Yep.
So probably the easiest way to connect is going through that webpage.
Yep.
And finding me through that means. So thoughtmastery.com.au.
Great. And look, if the listeners are reaching out to Craig and they say, hey, when's your next seminar? That might be just in part of the form of it coming into existence, maybe just through this chat. Because, mate, what you're doing, whether it's just showing up at drum ceremony, a weekend workshop, a one-on-one chat over coffee with someone that reaches out, I think it's amazing what you're doing, man.
Yeah, you only need to change one person's life. It's one person at a time.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right. Well, thank you again, Craig, for coming on the show today. To our listeners, thanks for tuning in once again. Hope you have an awesome day. See ya.
Wow. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Realms of Power. I have such gratitude for your time and energy and the vision to join us with turning your true aligned power on. To take your power up another level, you could share this episode with someone who you think would benefit, or make a comment online that would help us get this information out there. We'd really appreciate your love and support. Hope you have an awesome day. See ya.